Well, okay, let's watch it.
Yeah, I see.
So the question of what's special about entrepreneurs and what kind of characteristics entrepreneurs has preoccupied people and researchers for many years. It is one of the lines of research that has proven to be slightly difficult and frustrating for the simple reason that you can't box entrepreneurs into something very small and specific. I would interpret my own experience and actually the research that has been done on this that entrepreneurs come in all varieties, definitely all genders, definitely all ages, definitely all ethnicities, definitely all backgrounds. So I think it's quite dangerous to limit the notion of who can be an entrepreneur. Frankly, anybody can do it if they want it. Now, having said that, there are probably some human tendencies that will make you more inclined towards entrepreneurship. And certainly the first one that comes to mind is risk taking. It turns out that that's actually confusing in the sense that notorious risk takers, gamblers, don't necessarily become entrepreneurs. They go straight to Las Vegas or into the casino. And entrepreneurs are, I would say, risk tolerant, but they're not risk seekers. In fact, they see themselves as reducing risk. The job of an entrepreneur is not to take risk, but to manage risk. And so I think the willingness to deal with risk is something that entrepreneurs, do need. In addition to this question of risk taking and risk management, it is often said that entrepreneurs like control. And there's certainly a notion that entrepreneurs are willing to take control of a situation, take control of their destiny. And so we do find that entrepreneurship is associated with sort of this willingness and interest to control things. I would say there are two more characteristics that are really important. And one is entrepreneurs tend to be optimists. It comes hand in hand with a control issue, but they're optimists because they're not on. I would say that entrepreneurs are optimistic, definitely, but it's really that the optimists choose to become entrepreneurs more than it's inherently entrepreneurs who are optimistic. It is when you become very optimistic about a certain opportunity that you jump into it and decide to take the entrepreneurial leap. Maybe the most important characteristic, however, is entrepreneurs are hardworking. We now have objective data on this. The hours of work put in by entrepreneurs are much higher than the hours of work of employed people. And in fact, entrepreneurs that have a corporation, not just the self-employed, but the ones who hire other people, tend to work the longest hours. So the one thing I would say that is definitely about true entrepreneurs is they work very hard.
Well, first, let's talk about the first part of his interview. So, about the first part, okay, I want to ask you some questions. So here we have A, B, C. Just let me, about the first one, I want to ask you, how easy is it to define the type of person who makes a good entrepreneur? Is it easy?
Mm, yeah, I don't get that point. I always hear some mm, yeah, that means it's a C, but I'm not really
The first one,
getting
okay,
the
one,
one.
of course,
Yeah,
C, the type of people
yeah,
who become, yeah, of
yeah.
course. And after that, if you remember, we have,
Tendency of entrepreneurship.
yes, entrepreneurs, very good. And three,
The most important
yes,
thing characteristic of
characteristics,
entrepreneur.
yes.
So
Four,
he mentioned two
yeah,
two characteristic of entrepreneurs. The first thing
yeah,
is optimistic,
very,
and the second is hard work.
Yeah, of
hardworking.
course.
Yeah.
And of course, they are risk tolerant. So, yes, very good. And number four,
Number four. Number four is the financial way of financial of new business.
yeah, of course, very
But
good. Yeah, we
but
need to, yeah, of course. I think we need to watch the rest of it. So first,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So let's watch the rest of it then.
So at some point in time, almost every entrepreneur faces the question of, how do I finance this? This is bigger than what I can just finance with my own resources. So where do you get the money from? People can get very confused about that. And some people's gut reaction is, well, I just got to talk to my bank manager. Well, hello, this is the 21st century. We don't have bank managers. You just try to go online somewhere for the bank today. So no, the answer is most probably not your bank manager. There is a whole ecosystem of investors out there, however, and there is no simple answer as to where you should get your money from because it depends on the type of business and, very importantly, on how far along you are with your business. First distinction every entrepreneur should make: do I want debt or do I want equity? Debt sounds great because all you have to do is pay back, but actually that's very difficult in a startup because you're typically not generating cash for a long time. And that's one of the many reasons why equity is actually often the right answer. You can get some debt from credit cards, but be careful. That can get very expensive very quickly. And so I tend to recommend not to use credit cards, except for transactional purposes, but not as a tool for getting investments. Occasionally, you're lucky you can get loans or there's certain grants. Beautiful, if you can get them. But the majority of entrepreneurs at some point have to get some kind of equity financing. People then think, oh, let's go and talk to a venture capitalist. Well, it needs a lot of work and it needs a lot of preparation before you're ready to go to venture capital. And increasingly, you're going to be looking at angel investors and, in the modern world, crowdfunding. And so there's equity crowdfunding, there's also project crowdfunding or donation-based crowdfunding. But these are relatively new tools that are becoming more and more popular for entrepreneurs. Each of them is a strategic decision because it's not just money. Money comes with strings and it will affect the kind of business you're going to build.
Third part.
Yeah, why a
A
financial
lot of business.
new
Yes,
business?
of course. Four, yes. And let me see if we heard the number five or no.
Yeah,
Not
number
yet.
four, he mentioned
Yes,
that he
of course. It was about
the
financial. Yeah, of course. Now let's keep going.
Businesses fail.
yeah
A
Failure.
lot of them fail relatively early on in the first year, but they fail in the second, third year, and in fact, they fail at any point in time. So failure is part of the entrepreneurial process. And one of the biggest realization is that failure is not what you think it is. Failure is just a natural step in the evolution of creating something big. There are two types of failures, or in fact, there are probably many types of failures, but I think two are worth distinguishing here. There is the failure of the initial idea, where you thought you're doing something. You thought that you need to have a better application for buying cat food, and it turns out that that's just not that important. But in the process of doing that, you find something else, and eventually this leads you to a really promising opportunity. That is a type of failure that is just leading to you to changing your strategy. We like to call it pivoting, but you basically learn. It's just a set of experiments in which the individual experiment fails, but the process of learning continues. That type of failure is completely healthy and natural, and every entrepreneur does it. The second type of failure is that you really start a business, you make some investments, and after a certain time, actually often more than a year, 2, 3 years down the road, you realize this just doesn't work and there isn't another pivot that makes sense. I have to pull the plug on this. That type of failure is more painful. There are big cultural differences about this. Doing this in a Japanese context can be terrible. Doing this in Silicon Valley is totally normal. So it depends a little bit on where you are. It also depends on how you fail. Did you fail because you envisioned a market that hasn't materialized as quickly as you thought it would? Or did you fail because everybody thinks you did all the wrong steps at all the key moments? So the latter part, that type of failure is more painful. It needs to be sort of handled a bit more. But even that, I would say a lot of good entrepreneurs have to go through that process or just do go through that process. And I think there what really matters is integrity. That whatever you can talk, whatever you can say about the business with hindsight, people will say he or she did the best she could, she retained her integrity, and that means that your career might be going off in very interesting directions.
Yeah.
So if you want to start up your own business, or if you're thinking about starting your own business, what are the things that you should be looking for? I would say the first thing has to be some kind of a personal passion, some kind of an interest. If you're starting a business because you want to get rich, you're already on the wrong footing, and entrepreneurship isn't right for you. Because even though entrepreneurs do want to become rich, and there's nothing wrong with that, the motivation is never the money alone. It is always the process of starting something, the amazing experience of working with other people to build something new, or the product, the service. You actually really want to bring this idea to the world, and you want to make that impact, create that dent in the world. And unless you've got that passion, I would say don't bother. The second advice is don't think of entrepreneurs as the lone hero, the lone cowboy. Entrepreneurship is a deeply social experience. I highly recommend entrepreneurs working as teams. I am much more excited about seeing an entrepreneurial team rather than a single entrepreneur. Teams can help out each other, teams can complement each other, teams can go much further, but it's hard. So build a team, but make sure you choose your co-founders very carefully. Don't necessarily commit right at the start. Get to know each other and see what is the right combination of skills and personalities, and that will help you to, build the right team. And the third one is learn to have some grit. Learn to implement. Entrepreneurship is maybe 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. It's all about doing it. So you have to be willing to roll up your sleeves, get going. And the beauty of entrepreneurship is that you're going to be doing so many things in such a short time that the experience is incredibly rich, stressful, long work hours, but incredibly great for developing your own personality, your own skills, your own life experience. So be prepared for doing a lot of things you've never done before, and make sure you enjoy the ride.
Well, okay, just let me
Yeah.
share the board again. Just give me a moment. Wow. Okay.
So the
Wow.
question
Oh,
of what's
what is
special.
this? Okay. Let me share the book. Okay. Well, so number four, of course, it was about
Regional
financing.
code.
Number five, after,
And yeah.
yes,
Number five, reason for failure.
failure,
Failure.
of course, failure, very
Failure.
good. And the last one, yeah.
Tip for being successful.
Tips for actually I really like the way it was they were so good, very
Mm.
good tips. So of course if you want to just start your own business, so that was really good widow. But let's answer this question, so let me see if you can answer. Maybe you didn't focus on the details, but okay, let's try it now about this one. So the first part of the widow, if you could actually get the answer, he talked about, the type of person who makes a good entrepreneur. Do you remember anything?
Yeah, I only know the context and know the about the content, the main content, but I didn't get
Okay, so let's
the
do something.
detail.
Let's watch the
Yeah,
first. But first of all, we should, okay, let's underline the keyword that we need here. So, how easy
yeah,
to define the type of person who makes a good entrepreneur? How easy? And what different types become
yeah,
entrepreneur? And what is the attitude of the most entrepreneurs toward risk? And
yeah,
how do control and optimism relate to being an entrepreneur? And how does the work of entrepreneur compare with
yeah,
one who works for a company? Well,
yeah.
let's see. Just give me a moment to share it again.
Do we live and joy again?
Yeah, the first part, we should watch the first part to get the answer. Just, pay attention if you,
Yeah.
yeah, need just take
Okay.
notes.
So the question of what's special about entrepreneurs and what kind of characteristics entrepreneurs has preoccupied people and researchers for many years. It is one of the lines of research that has proven to be slightly difficult and frustrating for the simple reason that you can't box entrepreneurs into something very small and specific.
So, is it easy? The first question was how easy it is to define an entrepreneur. Is it easy?
No,
No, why no? So as we just heard, it is one
because
of the lines of research that has proven to be,
yeah, because he mentioned that there are a lot of things or a lot of reasons the people who to become a entrepreneur and his research in a long time to to do to know and to
yeah. Of course,
yeah.
actually, the phrase that he used, it could be slightly difficult and
Mm.
frustrating. Difficult and frustrating. What? For the simple reason. What is the reason? Actually, you can't box entrepreneurs into something very small or specific.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, we can't limit. You know what I mean? We can't limit. We say, okay, this and this and this, okay,
Yeah,
are, yeah,
yeah.
characteristic for, a good entrepreneur. So
Mm.
this actually is the phrase that he used. So he said that it's not easy. It's difficult and frustrating to box actually
Mm.
entrepreneurs into something very small. So we can't.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a new words in frustrating.
Frustrating, really tiring.
Frustrating.
Yes,
Yeah, can you write out?
of course. I will just, I type it on the board. Just I need to
Yes.
share it again. Just let me share the
Yeah.
word to show you. Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes I miss some
That's,
words, so it make me
that is really good
yeah,
to ask. Frustrating.
yeah, frustrating, frustrating.
Frustrating. I need a T here. Frustrating. So it's like,
Yeah,
frustrating and frustrated. You can be
frus-
frustrated. Something can be
frustrating,
frustrating.
frustrating,
Yeah. Why I have
frustrating.
two T here? I'm sorry. So why I have two? That is enough. I was like, so why my word is two?
Yeah,
Double
yeah,
T. Okay,
frustrating.
frustrating. So I typed it two times. Okay, frustrating. So that is very tiring, exhausting,
Mhm.
tiring, disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's a good word. Actually, we use it, especially sometimes you feel frustrated. Why? For example, learning English can be frustrating if you
Mm.
can't, get the goal and if you can achieve what you want. So
Yeah.
it's really good word and you can use it. It's like when you feel just discouraged, disappointed, tired. So of everything, you can use it. Okay. And something can be ing form for things. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is about the first one. Let's keep going with the next parade. Okay. And next question.
I would interpret my own experience and actually the research that has been done on this that entrepreneurs come in all varieties, definitely all genders, definitely all ages, definitely all ethnicities, definitely all backgrounds. So I think it's quite dangerous to limit the notion of who can be an entrepreneur. Frankly, anybody can do it if they want it. Now, having said that, there are probably
So let's talk about the second one because the second question, I think, let me okay, check it again. Okay, here. What different types of people become entrepreneurs? So we heard some words here.
Yeah, I only heard some words that they come from the different background.
Yeah. Okay, different background. And so he said entrepreneurs come in all varieties, all genders, if you heard all genders, all
Yeah,
ages, and ethnicities. So let me type this word because I think it's a good word. We can have it here.
yeah, yeah.
So just let me type it.
Yeah,
Just
I'm very interested in this topic,
yeah,
but there are some new words, so
it's
it make
okay.
me
We can practice.
yeah,
Actually, we are
yeah,
now, yeah, of course, why not? We can if you need sometimes we need
yeah,
for example you need to watch something or listen something maybe more than 3 times why not actually the reason
yeah,
is to learn okay well so let's talk about the word he said ethnicities okay ethnicity
yeah,
actually like maybe race culture yeah and it's
yeah,
actually it's very commonly used okay it's really good word so we can say cultural background so
yeah,
ethnicity can be cultural background. Yeah, as you can see. Well, and it's really good word. It's really standard word. Use it. And of course,
and
it's like, yeah,
electricity. That mean, okay, what does it mean?
cultural identity, cultural
Cultural
background.
identity.
Yes, of course, language, tradition, religion. So everything.
Mm,
Okay. So
yeah,
we can
yeah,
say the synonym like cultural
yeah.
background. Yeah. So, as he said, so no matter how old you are, ages, or for example, what your gender is, male, female, or your ethnicity, like your background, your religion, your, for example, race, okay? So, no matter. So, entrepreneurs come in all varieties,
Yeah.
genders, and of course, ages, ethnicities.
Royalty and gender.
Variety, a lot of, so let me write. Okay,
Yes.
varieties.
Yes.
So he said, okay, they come, I mean, in all
Variety. Yeah.
varieties. And this is plural because of all, I say varieties, but that actually this is variety. The word is variety. Yeah.
Yeah, variety mean the gender or what? Because I know that variety that mean a lot of types.
Of
Yeah.
course. So here,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, of course. So variety, as you said, so different types. So when we have, for example, variety of food, variety of fruit, okay? So
Yeah.
variety can be different form or types of something. And
Yeah.
because of this, so he started his speech with entrepreneurs come in varieties. Okay, all varieties means different type. This type can be different gender. This type can be different age. This type can be different cultural background. Variety
Yeah.
here means actually different form or type of something. If I want to give you a good synonym,
Mm.
diversity is good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm,
Well,
the diversity is
different
similar with
types.
variety.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. Of
yeah,
course. That is, we can say different forms and types of something. Yeah, both of them. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that was, yeah.
Okay. Now the next parade, let's watch it. Let me share it again. Okay.
Some human tendencies that will make you more inclined towards entrepreneurship. And certainly the first one that comes to mind is risk taking. It turns out that that's actually confusing in the sense that notorious risk takers, gamblers, don't necessarily become entrepreneurs. They go straight to Las Vegas or into the casino. And entrepreneurs are, I would say, risk tolerant, but they're not risk seekers. In fact, they see themselves as reducing risk. The job of an entrepreneur is not to take risk, but to manage risk. And so I think the willingness to deal with risk is something that entrepreneurs, do need. In addition to this,
Actually, I like this part. They are, so we are talking about to here, number three. So, what is the attitude of most entrepreneurs towards risk? Okay, just we are running out of time. Just, I
Yeah,
just, okay, let's log out. Sorry. So let's log out
okay,
and back in.
okay.
Okay.